Captain Janelle Hayes arrived at the airport with a small backpack and a neat carry-on. She wore plain travel clothes, a soft gray sweater, dark jeans, and clean sneakers. Her hair was pulled back in a simple style. She did not look like someone important. She looked like any traveler who wanted to get home on time. Inside, she felt calm and focused. She was going to visit her family for the weekend. Her niece had a school play. Her mother had baked a lemon cake. Janelle had promised she would be there. She moved through the automatic doors and felt the usual airport energy around her, rolling bags, fast steps, announcements in the background. She kept her pace steady. She had learned long ago that airports felt better when she gave herself time, smiled at staff, and followed the steps without rushing. Even out of uniform, she lived by habits from her service. Be early, be clear, be kind, and be firm when needed. Today, she planned to do exactly that. At the check-in kiosk, she typed her confirmation number and last name. The screen flashed her flight details. Then it paused. A small box appeared. Please see an agent. She thought it might be a seat, issue, or a routine extra check. She didn't worry. She picked up her printed receipt and walked to the counter with a polite nod. The gate agent, a young woman with a bright scarf, greeted her and scanned the booking. The agent's smile stayed, but her eyes changed. She scanned again. Is everything okay? Janelle asked in a friendly voice. One moment, please, the agent said. Her tone was careful. She looked at her screen, then to a colleague. Just a system flag. Let me check something. Janelle had seen this before. Her first and last name were common enough to be mixed with others. She carried 2 forms of ID and kept a copy of her travel orders from months ago, even though she was off duty now. She did not announce her job. She preferred to move like a normal person and let documents speak if needed. She kept her hands relaxed on the counter and waited. The agent picked up a phone and read a code out loud. She listened to an answer, then thanked the person and hung up. Okay, Ms. Hayes, she said. We just need a manual verification at security. I'll mark your record to help them see it faster. Her voice was kind again, but a hint of stress sat behind it. Janelle smiled. Thank you, she said, and took her boarding pass. At security, the line moved slowly. Janelle placed her belt, watch, and phone into a gray bin. She set her backpack and carry-on on the belt with care. In a small inner pocket, her military ID and driver's license were tucked neatly in a holder. She usually kept at least one ID on her person, but the sweater had no secure pocket, so the holder was in the carry-on, zipped but easy to reach. She planned to take it out the moment TSA asked. She knew how important it was to show clear proof quickly and calmly. An announcement buzzed. Attention travelers, please have your IDs ready. The line inched forward. Janelle studied the signs as if they were new, a habit that kept her sharp. She noticed a new poster about second identifier checks like date of birth and middle initial. Good step, she thought. It cut down on mistakes. She also noticed a small note on the plexiglass. If your name is flagged, please ask for a supervisor. She filed that away. Calm steps, clear voice. Ask for the right person. A child in front of her swung his legs from a plastic seat and sang a little song. The mother looked tired but grateful for the break. Janelle smiled at the child. The mother smiled back. These small human moments gave her strength. She had seen many hard days in her service, and she understood that kindness made systems work better. There was strength in gentle words. There was strength in patient eyes. The belt pulled her bins forward. A TSA officer waved her through the metal detector. She stepped, paused, and waited for the signal. Clear. She moved to the end of the conveyor to collect her things. As she reached for her carry-on, she heard a soft beep from a nearby desk. 2 officers in blue uniforms looked at a screen, then at her boarding pass. One officer lifted a hand and gave a small sign. 1 second. His face was polite but alert. "Ms. Hayes?" he asked. "Yes," she answered, keeping her tone even. "We're doing a quick verification on your ticket. May we see your ID?" "Of course," she said. She gestured to her carry-on. "My IDs are in this front pocket. May I open it?" "Please wait," he said gently. "Just 1 second." The officer tapped a radio. A short conversation followed, too quiet to hear. Janelle kept her hands visible and still. She understood posture, timing, and tone. She knew that sudden moves at a checkpoint could make people nervous. She also knew that most officers wanted a safe, simple day, just like she did. The best way to help was to be very clear and very calm. Another TSA supervisor walked over. She wore a name tag that said Alvarez and had a calm face. "Hi, Ms. Hayes. We need to confirm a detail. It looks like your name matches a historical entry, but I think it's only a partial match. We'll verify the birth date and middle initial, and then you'll be on your way." "Thank you," Janelle said. "My ID is in the carry-on pocket. May I take it out slowly with you watching?" "Yes," Alvarez said. "Go ahead and do it slowly." Janelle unzipped the pocket and removed a small holder. She placed it on the table and opened it so the cards were visible but still secure. "Driver's license on top," she said. "Government ID underneath." She did not push them forward yet. She waited for the supervisor to reach for them, showing she respected the process. The supervisor nodded and took the license first, as I. Alvarez checked. A gate agent from earlier appeared at the edge of the area and spoke to a security employee. Janelle noticed brief eye contact between staff, then the slight lift of an eyebrow. A second radio buzzed. Janelle could not hear the words, but she read the feeling. Something old in the system was still active. Maybe a similar name had set, a watch list flag. Maybe a file had not closed properly after a past incident that had nothing to do with her. She had seen that kind of thing before, when a process started with good intent but left a small error behind, and that error created trouble for the next person. Janelle breathed slowly. She counted 4 beats in, 4 beats out. Her training taught her to keep heart rate low in tense places. Calm thinking makes better choices. Calm voices make safer rooms. Even now, she did not think of rank or power. She thought of people and steps. She thought, if I stay clear, they will have space to do their job right. If I speak with short sentences, they will hear me. Alvarez looked up. "Your date of birth?" Janelle answered. "Thank you," the supervisor said. "And middle initial?" "R." The supervisor compared the screen to the ID again. "This looks different from the record that flagged," she said. "We're double-checking. One more moment." Janelle nodded. "I'm cooperating," she said softly, not only to the supervisor, but also to herself. It was a small reminder to keep her actions simple. Hands visible, shoulders relaxed, eyes friendly. She set her phone face down on the table and did not reach for it again. She knew that even a normal phone gesture could look confusing to someone watching from the side. A pair of airport police officers stepped into the area. They were calm and professional, not rushing. They scanned the scene with trained eyes as if asking, "Is everyone okay? Is the space safe?" Janelle stood tall but not stiff and waited for a signal. One officer gave a polite nod to Alvarez, and the supervisor gave a brief explanation in a steady whisper. Janelle could not hear the words, but she guessed the summary. "Name flag, partial match, verifying ID, no threat seen." "Ms. Hayes," one officer said in a neutral tone, "would you mind stepping to the side area while we finish the check?" "It's just over here." "I'm happy to," she said. "I'm cooperating." She repeated the phrase with the same even voice, so everyone could hear it and feel it. She was not scared. She was careful. Decision by decision, she was shaping a safe scene. They moved a few steps away to a quiet spot beside a frosted glass panel. The officer kept a respectful distance. Janelle stood with her hands loosely clasped in front of her, fingers apart, palms visible, the way she had taught. Others in tense places. Nothing hidden, nothing sudden. A few travelers turned their heads, curious. Most returned to their bins and belts and phones. The airport kept moving around them like a river around a rock. Janelle remembered her niece's message from the night before. "Auntie, sit in the front row if you can." She smiled a little and let that good thought warm her chest. She did not let worry tell stories in her mind. Worry builds walls. Procedure builds bridges. She chose the bridge. The radio at the officer's shoulder crackled again, and he said, "Copy." He looked at Janelle with steady eyes. "Thank you for your patience," he said. "We appreciate it. This should be quick." "Thank you for your work," she replied. It was simple, but real. She respected people who tried to protect others. She had trained many like them, people who woke up every day and put on uniforms, and hoped to make smart choices. She also knew that smart choices needed clear systems. She was, as she liked to say, ruthless with systems. That did not mean harsh. It meant exact. It meant she cared about steps that kept people safe and respected. Alvarez returned with the IDs. "We are close to done," she said. "We're just waiting for a confirmation call because the original flag came from a separate database. I'm sorry for the delay." "I understand," Janelle said. "Thank you for telling me what is happening." Behind the glass, the conveyor kept humming. Janelle walked beside Supervisor Alvarez toward the gate area. The hallway was bright and busy. People rolled their suitcases and checked their phones. The air smelled like coffee and warm bread from a nearby cafe. Alvarez kept a steady pace. Janelle matched it. She carried her boarding pass and kept her ID holder easily visible in one hand. They turned a corner, and the gate area came into view with a long line and a blinking screen that showed the flight number. Alvarez spoke softly. She explained that the first flag at security had been cleared, but the airline system sometimes took a few minutes to update. "If anyone asks questions," she said, "I'll confirm you're verified. We want your record to be clean at the gate." Janelle thanked her and felt grateful for the clear communication. Calm steps, clear words. That was how good days stayed good. As they neared the line, a gate agent with short hair and glasses looked up, then looked back at her computer. He frowned and tapped a key. He glanced at Janelle's name on the screen, then at a small orange symbol next to it. Janelle noticed his shoulders tense. He picked up a phone and spoke quickly, using short codes she could not fully hear. She caught only a few words. "Secondary, uncertain. Please advise." Alvarez raised a hand in a friendly way. "It's okay," she said to the agent. "We just cleared this at the checkpoint." The agent nodded, but his face held worry. He had already called for help, and now the wheels were turning. He was not trying to cause trouble. He was trying to follow a rule that told him to call when he saw that orange mark. Janelle understood. Systems often spoke faster than people. A pair of airport officers entered the gate area from a side door. Their steps were careful. Their eyes scanned the space. One of them spoke into a radio at his shoulder. Another officer came from the opposite direction. The energy of the room shifted. People began to notice. A few phones tilted up. A child asked, "What's happening?" A parent whispered, "It's fine. Let's just stay over here." Alvarez stepped a little closer to Janelle. "I'll handle this," she said calmly. She spoke to the first officer with a steady voice. "We have a passenger whose name was flagged at the checkpoint. We verified 2 identifiers. I can confirm that here." The officer listened, but his radio crackled with a different report. Something from the airline system that had not caught up yet. The words were short and cold, like numbers in a machine. The officer's face stayed neutral, but his body shifted to a higher level of care. He moved his hand near his belt, not touching any tool, just ready. "Ma'am," he said to Janelle, "for everyone's safety, I need you to keep your hands visible." His tone was respectful, not sharp. "They are visible," Janelle said, with the same steady voice she had used all morning. She lifted her hands slightly, fingers spread. I am cooperating. Alvarez pointed to Janelle's ID holder. Her IDs are here. We can show them now. The second officer, standing at an angle for safety, spoke carefully. We've got a report we have to follow. Please do not reach for anything until I say. He looked at the floor, then at Janelle's hands, then back to Alvarez. He was trying to slow the moment down. Janelle appreciated that. Slower moments are safer moments. Another officer arrived, and now there were 4. They did not crowd Janelle. They formed a gentle circle with space, keeping other passengers at a distance. One officer asked the nearby crowd to step back. Give us room, please. Thank you. People moved. A few still recorded. The circle held. Janelle took a slow breath. She spoke in short sentences. I am Captain Janelle Hayes. I am off duty and traveling to visit family. My IDs are in my hand. I will not reach unless you approve. The first officer nodded. Thank you for using a calm voice, he said. We want to resolve this with care. At that moment, the airline agent's screen blinked again, and a small red bar appeared. It was not a new threat. It was a duplicate. Notice. But the color and timing added stress to a room already on edge. The agent tried to cancel it, but the cancellation tool asked for a code he did not have. He swallowed and looked around for help. The radio at the officer's shoulder buzzed. Again. Stand by, someone said. Awaiting supervisor. Janelle heard the words and focused on the next right step. Ask for the right person. May I request a supervisor on your team? She asked the officers. I believe a supervisor at security already cleared my record. Supervisor is on the way, the first officer said. He kept his voice level. We appreciate your cooperation. A few seconds later, the small space felt a little tighter. The newest officer had his tool hand low and steady in a position that showed high awareness but also self-control. Another officer quietly guided bystanders to give even more room. Janelle stood tall but relaxed, hands open, eyes calm. She could feel that this was the hardest part of the day, a moment full of mixed messages, old data, and human worry. She stayed rooted in her training. Breathe, simplify, and speak respectfully. Ma'am, the second officer said after listening. To his radio. For now, we need to secure the scene. This means we will place you in temporary restraints while the supervisor reviews the records. Is that okay? Janelle gave a small nod. I am cooperating, she said again. If you place restraints, please do so in a way that keeps my IDs visible to the supervisor. My carry-on is here. I won't touch it. The officer looked a bit surprised at her clarity, but it helped him. Clear requests make safe actions easier. Thank you, he said. We'll proceed slowly. He asked if she preferred to face the wall or stand where she was. She chose to stand where she was, away from the crowd, with Alvarez beside her. The officer explained each step before he did it. He kept his tone human, not harsh. Janelle placed her hands behind her back slowly when he asked, and she kept her shoulders relaxed. The cuffs clicked into place, not tight, just firm. Alvarez stayed within view and held the ID holder, ready to present it to the supervisor. Soft gasp came from someone in the line. Another voice said, "Let them do their job." A child asked, "Is she in trouble?" The parent answered, "We don't know, and that's why they're checking carefully." The words were kind, and Janelle was grateful for that kindness. Words can build bridges even from far away. The first officer checked the area again, making sure no one was too close. He kept his voice low when he spoke into the radio. "Scene is stable," he said. "Passenger is compliant, awaiting supervisor and data confirmation." Janelle studied the officer's posture and saw that he was not trying to make things dramatic. He was trying to make things safe. That mattered to her. She had trained people like him in different uniforms, in different places. She knew how. Heavy it felt to make the right call in a gray moment. She chose to help by being the calmest person in the room. Alvarez squeezed the ID holder gently, like a small signal. "I am here." She spoke to the officers. "Her date of birth and middle initial do not match the flagged record. I confirmed that at the checkpoint. I have the exact numbers ready for the supervisor." "Thank you," the first officer said. "We'll pass that up." A minute stretched long. The gate area felt like a theater where everyone was waiting for the next line. The cafe machine hissed. A suitcase zipper scraped the floor. Aborting. Announcement sounded for a different flight. Time did not stop. It just slowed down around the circle. Janelle kept her breathing steady. She did not let fear write the story in her head. She wrote it herself in simple words, the way she taught. "Young soldiers to do when their hearts ran fast. This is a verification. People are careful. We are all staying safe. The supervisor will arrive. The numbers will match. Then we will move on." A woman in a maintenance uniform walked by with a cart and gave Janelle a brief, warm look. It said, "I see you." Janelle sent back a small smile. It said, "I'm okay." The side door opened again. A police sergeant stepped in, wearing a calm face that came from years of handling tense rooms. He did not rush. He did not raise his voice. He looked first at the officers, then at Janelle, then at Alvarez. He took a breath and spoke in a steady human tone. "Good afternoon," he said. "I'm Sergeant Cole. I understand we have a name, match, and a record that may be old. Thank you for cooperating." He nodded to Janelle, then to Alvarez. "Supervisor Alvarez, you said you verified 2 identifiers? I'll take a look." Alvarez opened the ID holder in her hands and showed the license and the government card. "Date of birth here," she said. "Middle initial R, the flagged. Record has a different date and a different middle initial." The sergeant listened, then took a small notepad from his pocket. He wrote the details in neat, simple lines, the way someone writes when they need the truth to be easy to read later. He spoke into his radio with precise words, giving the numbers without any drama, asking for a check from the central system and the old database that had caused the red bar at the gate. "Thank you," he said to everyone after he finished the call. "We're going to stand still for a moment while we wait for the answer. No one is in danger. The passenger is cooperative. Keep the area clear, please." Those words moved through the air like a soft blanket. People breathed. The phones lowered a little. The officer's shoulders relaxed by an inch. Alvarez straightened her back and gave a small nod to Janelle. The circle felt less like a wall and more like a shield that kept confusion out while truth came in. Janelle stood with her, hands secured, her chin level, her eyes on the sergeant. She felt the weight of the cuffs but did not let that feeling. The sergeant's radio answered with a crisp tone. He lifted it, turned slightly so his voice would not carry far, and listened with quiet focus. His face did not change much, but his eyes showed care. He looked at Alvarez, then at the officers. Around Janelle, then at Janelle herself. "Ma'am," he said in a steady voice, "we're going to confirm your details across 2 systems. Thank you for staying calm." He nodded at Alvarez. "Let's review her IDs together, step by step." Alvarez held the open ID holder so both of them could see without moving it closer to Janelle's restrained hands. "Driver's license, here," she said softly. "Government card underneath." "May I read the numbers?" the sergeant asked, keeping his tone respectful. "Yes," Janelle said. "I'm cooperating." Her words were smooth and slow, like a gentle hand over rough fabric. She kept her chin level and her shoulders loose, so the room stayed steady. Alvarez read the key details. The sergeant repeated them into the radio in clear, simple phrases. He asked for a 2-identifier check, date of birth and middle initial, and for a visual descriptor check, which meant height, eye color, and the photo on record. He did not add any drama. He used clean language that helped the person on the other end make a smart match. While they waited, the sergeant turned to the closest officer. "No sudden movements. No one crowds the passenger. We keep the area safe and calm." The officer nodded and let his hands relax away from his belt. Another officer took 2 small steps back to open the circle a little more. Space can cool a room. The room began to cool. A new tone came through the radio, shorter this time. The sergeant listened, then asked, "Confirm middle initial?" He listened again and gave a tiny nod. He looked at Janelle. "The flagged record has a different middle initial," he said. "We're checking date of birth now." "Thank you," Janelle said. She kept her breathing even. In her head, she counted a gentle rhythm. In for 4, out for 4. She noticed a child watching from behind a row of seats with curious eyes. Janelle gave the child a small, friendly smile. The child's shoulders dropped. The parent mouthed, "Thank you." Even small kindness was a tool here. Alvarez kept the ID holder steady. "Date of birth for Ms. Hayes is—" She spoke the date. The sergeant repeated it into the radio, then added, "Compare to the flagged record, please. We need a clear yes or no." They waited a few beats that felt like a long minute. The cafe machine hissed again. Wheels rolled on tile. A boarding. Call sounded for a different flight. Life kept moving. The radio replied with a short answer. The sergeant's eyebrows shifted, just a little. He turned to the group. "Mismatch confirmed," he said. "Different middle initial, different date of birth." He paused, listening once more. "Different height by 3 inches. Not the same person." Alvarez let out a careful breath. The first officer gave a small nod and lowered his shoulders. Janelle stayed still, her hands behind her back, but the calm inside her moved outward like a soft tide. The circle felt human again, not hard. "I appreciate the confirmation," Janelle said. Her voice stayed warm. "May I request that we document this clearance fully so it does not follow me to the gate again?" "You're ahead of me," the sergeant said with a faint, kind smile. "We will document. We'll also call the airline to remove the duplicate. Flag on your booking," he signaled to the officer nearest Janelle. "We're going to remove the restraints. We'll do it slow, and we'll do it clean." He looked at Janelle. "Ma'am, we're going to step behind you now and unlock. I'll narrate each move so you know what's happening." "Understood," Janelle said. "I'm cooperating." The officer moved with care, spoke softly, and unlocked the cuffs. He did not yank or rush. He took an extra second to make sure her sleeves were flat so the metal would not catch. The cuffs clicked free. Janelle brought her hands forward slowly and rolled her shoulders once, gently. She did not rub her wrists. She did not make a show. She simply let her arms hang in a natural way, showing that the room was safe to relax. "Thank you," she said to the officer. He gave a small, respectful nod. The sergeant turned slightly and spoke into the radio again. "Restraints removed," he said. "Passenger cooperative. Not the same person as the flagged record. Request closure code and airline record update." He listened, then added, "Copy. We'll annotate incident number and notify gate." He faced the gate agent. "Sir, please open the record for Ms. Hayes. Remove the orange marker. Add a note. Identity verified with 2 identifiers and visual descriptor." "Supervisor present." The agent pushed his glasses up, relieved to have clear direction. He typed quickly, then paused. "I need a code to delete the duplicate notice," he said, eyes flicking to the sergeant. "Central will send it now," the sergeant answered. A moment later, a short code came through his radio. He repeated it, and the agent entered it. The red bar disappeared. The orange symbol faded. The agent's screen was just a normal list again. Alvarez closed the ID holder and handed it to Janelle. "Here you go," she said. "I'll walk you to the podium in a second so we can print a fresh boarding pass with the note attached." "Thank you," Janelle said. She looked around the circle and met each officer's eyes briefly with quiet respect. "Thank you for your work today." A few people in the crowd began to drift back to their seats. The phones lowered. The air felt like a normal airport again. Coffee, rolling bags, soft voices. The hard moment had passed because every person had chosen calm over noise. The sergeant gave a short nod toward a quieter spot by a pillar. "If you're willing," he said to Janelle, "I'd like to finish the verification away from the crowd just to close the loop. 2 minutes. Then we'll walk you back to board." "I'm willing," she said. "I prefer precise closure." They stepped to the pillar with Alvarez and the first officer. The sergeant took his small notepad. Again. "Full name?" he asked. "Janelle R. Hayes," she said. "Travel purpose?" "Personal visit," she said. "Family event." "Any supporting document you want on the record?" he asked. Janelle held up her phone. "I have a leave letter from my unit in my secure email. I can display it on the screen if you want to note it." "That would be helpful," he said. She opened the email app, kept the phone visible at chest height, and turned the screen so the sergeant could see without taking it. The letter showed dates and a signature line. He did not copy sensitive numbers. He just wrote "leave letter viewed" with the date. "Thank you," he said. "That's enough." He looked up. "I want to say something plainly," he added. "You modeled calm under pressure. You used short sentences. You made space for us to do our work. That helped everyone here." "Thank you for saying that," Janelle replied. "I believe in calm rooms. I also believe in exact steps. I am, to use my own word, ruthless with standards. Not with people, with standards. That's how we keep people safe." "That's a good line," the sergeant said. "Ruthless with standards, gentle with people." He wrote it down like a note to himself. Alvarez smiled. "I'm going to start saying that at briefings," she said softly. The officer checked his radio one last time. "All sets cleared," came the reply. "Closure code issued, incident documented." "We're closed," the sergeant said. He looked toward the gate agent. "Let's finalize her boarding." They walked back together, not fast, not slow. The agent printed a new boarding pass. Alvarez confirmed the note attached to the record. "Date of birth verified, middle initial verified, visual descriptor verified, supervisor present, flag cleared." Janelle took the pass. "Thank you," she said. She kept her voice bright, but even. The moment called for warmth, not triumph. She turned to the officers again. "If you plan a debrief later, I'm available to share a few quick ideas from the passenger's side. Very simple, very practical." The sergeant nodded. "We will debrief," he said. "Your input would be welcome." He checked in with his team. "Any concerns left?" Heads shook. Shoulders were loose. "Good," he said. "Then let's return the area to normal. Thank you, everyone." The officers dispersed quietly. One of them paused and spoke to a couple who had been standing nearby. "Thanks for giving us space," he said. They nodded and returned to their seats. The circle was gone. The gate looked like any gate now. Janelle stepped a little to the side to gather herself. She lifted her backpack strap on her shoulder and felt the even weight against her back. She took one more gentle breath. A woman from the cafe approached and set down a small paper cup. "Water," she said. "No charge." Her voice was kind but simple, like a neighbor offering a hand without making a speech. "Thank you," Janelle said. She sipped, then handed the empty cup back. The woman smiled and returned to the cafe, blending into the soft hum of airport life. A man in a business suit walked by and said quietly, "You handled that well." Janelle answered, "Thank you. I hope the next person has an easier time." It was not a speech. It was a wish. Alvarez checked the boarding time. "We have a few minutes," she said. "I'll stay near the podium. If any system tries to echo the old flag, I'll clear it. I appreciate you, Janelle said. Your steady voice kept the path clear. Alvarez gave a small laugh. Yours did too, she said. Sometimes steady voices meet in the middle. That's how we fix things. The sergeant approached once more, holding a small card. This has the incident number, he said. If you'd like to request the report later, these are the steps. Also, my name is on it in case someone needs to confirm what happened. Janelle took the card. That helps, she said. After my trip, I'll likely write a so. The sergeant returned to the gate podium with a careful, human look on his face. He stood in front of Janelle, not too close, and spoke in a respectful tone. He said he was sorry for the stress. He said the mix of systems had created noise. He said she had helped make the room safe by staying calm. Then he handed her a card with the incident number written in neat block letters. He added 2 short lines that listed the body cam reference codes. He explained in simple words how she could ask for the report later. Janelle received the card with both hands, like a small contract. Thank you, she said. Clear records. Protect everyone. A duty manager from the airline arrived, breathing a little fast but trying to be composed. She introduced herself as Mira. She had already read a brief note from the agent and from Alvarez. Miss Hayes, she said, I'm sorry for what you went through. We want to fix the part we control. I've removed the duplicate flag from your booking, and I've added a verified at gate note so you will not be stopped again on this route. She offered a seat closer to the front and a small travel credit. Not to buy your silence, she added quickly, but to recognize the delay and the stress. Janelle nodded. I accept the seat change, she said. Please keep the credit on the record for training time if that helps. What matters most is that the next person's path is smoother. Mira blinked. She looked relieved. I can allocate it towards staff time, she said. Thank you. Alvarez stepped closer with a small, organized folder. Inside was a simple 1-page form. This is a written summary from our side, she said. Trigger at kiosk. Secondary check at security. Partial match. Gate system echoed an older flag. Supervisor call. 2 identifier verification. Visual descriptor check. Mismatch confirmed. Flag cleared. She had written each step like a clean line on a map. Janelle scanned the page. May we add 1 sentence? She asked. Please write that IDs were in the carry-on at the belt and access to them was delayed. By early caution. It will help the training point about keeping ID access easy when the scene is stable. Good note, Alvarez said, and she wrote it in clear letters. ID access delayed by positioning. Consider protocol to keep identification within controlled reach. The sergeant made a second note in his pad. We will include that in our internal debrief, he said. An early look at ID can sometimes cool a moment quickly if done safely. Janelle met his eyes and added, I'm ruthless with standards, Sergeant. Not with people, with standards. That's how we protect dignity and safety at the same time. He smiled a little. I remember, he said. Ruthless with standards, gentle with people. The boarding process moved forward. The screen flipped to the next group. The line flowed in a soft, steady way. Mira reprinted the boarding pass with the verified note attached to the digital record. She handed it to Janelle. You're Group 3 now, she said. You can board in a minute. Thank you, Janelle said. She checked the time. She had made it through with minutes to spare. She sent a short text to her mother. All good. Boarding soon. Save me a slice. A lemon emoji came back right away, plus a heart. Before Janelle joined the line, she turned back to the sergeant. One more request, she said gently. If your policy allows, please email me a short confirmation that the flag was a mismatch and that I cooperated fully. It will help if any echo appears later. Reasonable, he said. I'll send a brief note with the incident number and a line about cooperation. You'll have it before you land. Thank you, she said. That's exact and fair. On the jet bridge, the air felt cooler and calmer. A flight attendant at the door smiled and scanned her pass. The device showed a green check and a little note that only crew could see. ID verified. Supervisor present. Proceed without delay. The attendant's smile grew a shade warmer. "Welcome aboard," she said quietly. "If you need anything, let me know." Janelle settled into her seat and stowed her carry-on within easy reach. She kept her ID holder in the outer pocket now, not buried. She put her hands on her knees and felt the rhythm of her breath. The cabin filled with the soft sounds of travel, overhead bins sliding, buckles clicking, a child counting the lights, a soft laugh as someone waved to a friend across the aisle. As the plane pushed back, Janelle opened a small notebook. She liked paper for moments like this. Paper made thoughts clean. She drew a simple timeline. 7:48. Kiosk. See agent. 7:55. Agent call. Flag mentioned. Polite tone. 8:10. Security belt. IDs and carry-on. Supervisor Alvarez called. 8:18. To identifier request. Calm posture. Hands visible. 8:30. Gate. Orange symbol echoed. Officers arrive. 8:34. Cuffs applied. Scene kept calm. Space created. 8:42. Sergeant Cole arrives. To identifier check plus visual descriptor. 8:49. Mismatch confirmed. Cuffs removed. Closure code requested. 8:55. Airline note updated. Boarding pass reprinted. She wrote 3 short lessons under the timeline. 1. Keep ID access easy under supervision. 2. Put second identifier rule at podium in large print. 3. Create a clear path to a supervisor in under 3 minutes. She closed the notebook and rested her hands again. She was not angry. She let that truth sink in. She felt steady. She felt clear. She felt like a person who had carried a hard moment the right way and had left the room a little better than she found it. Mid-flight, her phone buzzed with a silent message to her email. She opened it after the seatbelt sign went off. The subject read, Incident number A 31124, confirmation. The email was short and plain. It stated the time, the place, the reason for contact, the verification steps, the mismatch, and the outcome. At the end, there was one sentence. Passenger Hayes remained cooperative. Scene remained safe. The message had the sergeant's name, Alvarez's name, and a general address for follow-up. Janelle forwarded the email to herself with a tag. Airport, training input. Then she closed her phone and looked out the window. The sky was a soft blue. The wing cut a clean line through the light. She thought of her niece in the school auditorium, practicing her lines, and smiled. When the plane landed, Janelle moved, with the flow of people to the exit. At the door, the attendant nodded and said softly, "Have a good visit." In the terminal, her mother waved with happy hands. Her niece bounced on her toes. Her brother held the car keys like a flag. The hug at the curb was long and simple. No speeches, just warmth. On the ride home, Janelle kept the story short for her mother. "There was a system mix-up," she said. "We fixed it. People were careful. The sergeant and a supervisor did the right steps." Her mother squeezed her hand. "You did the right steps too," she said. "You always do." After dinner, when the house was quiet, Janelle stepped into the small guest room and called her unit. She gave a short, structured debrief to her commanding officer. Time, location, trigger, actions, verification, outcome, follow-up. She did not share private details, only the process. She ended with a sentence she liked. "I am writing a 1-page memo with 3 simple improvements that could help both teams next time." "Send it to me too," her CO said. "Good lessons. Travel well." The next morning, Janelle woke early, made a cup of tea, and opened her laptop at the kitchen table. She titled the document, "Quick Wins for Safer, Faster Identity Checks, Passenger View." She wrote in clear, friendly language, purpose, Reduce false matches and lower stress while protecting safety. Step 1. ID access. Protocol. When the scene is stable and hands are visible, allow supervised, slow access to identification within 60 seconds. Keep the ID holder in view of an officer and a camera. Announce each move. This can close many flags quickly. Step 2. Two identifier rule. At the podium. Print a simple sign for gate agents and police. Before restraint, check two identifiers. Date of birth plus middle initial. If mismatch, call a supervisor immediately. Put it at eye level. Step 3. Supervisor in 3. Goal. Create a goal to get a supervisor to the scene in under 3 minutes for flagged names. Speed lowers confusion and builds trust. Step 4. Duplicate flag fix. Ask it to block duplicate red bars if a record has just been cleared in the last 30 minutes. Echoes create noise. Step 5. Plain language script. Give staff a 20-second script. We have a name match. We'll verify 2 details. Keep your hands visible. When I say, you can show your ID. We'll go step by step. Scripts. Calm people. She added one short paragraph at the end. Tone matters. Calm voices and open hands make safe rooms. Be ruthless with standards. Be gentle with people. She sent the memo to Sergeant Cole, Supervisor Alvarez, and the airline. Manager Mira. She copied her commanding officer. Her subject line was simple. Follow up from yesterday. Small steps that help. Within an hour, Alvarez replied with gratitude. We can test the podium sign this week, she wrote. I will also share your ID access language with our team. Your phrasing is clear. Mira wrote back soon after. Our IT team is exploring the duplicate flag block. We will pilot the change on 2 gates first. Thank you for the clean list. The sergeant's reply came in the afternoon. It was short but thoughtful. We're adding your Step 3 as an internal goal. We already briefed the team on your case, emphasizing posture, space, and narration. If you're open to it, we'd like you to join a short scenario practice next month. 15 minutes. Your voice will make it real. Janelle smiled at the screen. She typed, Yes, I'm open. Keep it simple. I'll share the passenger view. She added one more line. Please include the maintenance he. 2 weeks later, the small training session took place in Room B at the airport. The room was plain. White walls, a clock that ticked softly, and rows of simple chairs. On the front table lay a stack of printed cards with the 2 identifier. Rule, written in large letters. Janelle arrived early with a short outline in her notebook. She wore a neat blouse and dark slacks. No uniform today. She wanted the focus to be on clear steps, not on rank. The first to arrive was Supervisor Alvarez with a calm smile and a folder of notes. Then Sergeant Cole walked in, carrying his small notepad and a respectful attitude that made everyone feel safe. 2 gate agents came next. The cafe manager also joined because, as Janelle had suggested, support staff often see important details before anyone else. A maintenance worker named Devin slipped into a chair near the door and gave a friendly nod. I see a lot from the floor, he said. Happy to help. Janelle began right on time. She spoke in simple English, the same way she wrote her memo. Thank you for giving me 15 minutes, she said. We will do 3 things today. 1. Practice a plain language script. 2. Practice supervised ID access. 3. Walk through the 2 identifier rule in under 2 minutes. She handed out small cards. On one side was the script. We have a name match. We will check 2 details now. Keep your hands visible and do not reach for anything until I say. When I say, slowly show your ID. We will go step by step. On the other side were the 2 identifiers, date of birth and middle initial. Let's role play, she said. I'll be the traveler. Sergeant, please be the officer. Supervisor, you be yourself. A soft laugh warmed the room. They stood up. Janelle placed her hands where everyone could see them. She kept her voice easy and steady. The sergeant used the script and asked for the two identifiers. Alvarez added, "On my mark, you can slowly open the front pocket and show your ID." Janelle moved in slow, visible steps. She named each move before she did it. "I am opening the pocket. I am lifting the holder. I am placing it on the table." They finished the practice in less than a minute. The room felt lighter. "Notice what happened?" Janelle asked. "We narrated the steps. We allowed supervised access to ID. We checked. Two identifiers first. We did not jump to restraint. We made the room safe." Devin raised his hand. "From the floor," he said. "I see folks get nervous when hands disappear. But when we speak out loud like that, people relax. It helps me too. I know what to expect." "Exactly," Janelle said. "Calm voices build calm rooms." Next, they practiced the supervisor in 3 goal. The sergeant set a timer on his phone. "Let's pretend a name flag hits right now," he said. "My job is to get a supervisor here in under 3 minutes." He stepped to the side and spoke into his radio with clear language. "Name match. No threat seen. Request. Supervisor for 2 identifier check." He looked at Alvarez and smiled. "You made it in 1 minute and 40 seconds, he said. "That's good." Mira joined halfway through the session. She had new news. "It has built a small fix," she said. "If a name was cleared in the last 30 minutes, the system will not repeat the red bar at the gate. It will show a gray note. Recently, verified, check 2 identifiers if needed. It won't scare people." The room liked that. It was a small change, but small changes matter. They ran one more scenario, this time with a gate agent starting the script, the sergeant arriving at the 90-second mark, and Alvarez checking the 2 identifiers. Devin stood at the back and said, "I'll be the crowd." He put out his hands and said, "Please give us room so we can work safely." He did it with a peaceful tone. It felt real and kind. At the end, Janelle kept her final words short. "Thank you," she said. "Be ruthless with standards. Be gentle with people. That mix saves time and saves dignity." She nodded to the clock. They finished in 15 minutes, just as promised. Over the next week, small signs appeared around the airport. One sign at the security belt read, "If flagged, ask for a supervisor. Have ID ready. We will check 2 details." Another sign at the gate podium showed a simple step list for staff. 2 identifier check, supervisor in 3, document, proceed. None of the signs were loud. They were clear. The first real test came on a rainy Thursday morning. Janelle was not at the airport that day. She was at her niece's school, helping tape up paper stars on a classroom wall for the play. While they worked, her phone buzzed with a short message from Sergeant Cole. "We used the steps. No restraints. 2 minutes to clear. Room stayed calm. Thank you." The scene he described was simple. A man with a common name arrived at the gate. The orange symbol flashed. The agent read the sign, used the plain language script, and asked for 2 identifiers. The man's date of birth did not match the record. The sergeant came in under the 3-minute goal, looked at the ID under supervision, and said, "We're good." The crowd never gathered. No one pulled out a phone to record. No one felt scared. The man boarded his flight and gave a shy wave to the agent as he walked down the jet bridge. A few days later, Janelle returned to the airport for a work trip. This time she wore her uniform because she was flying to a base for a brief talk to young leaders. When she stepped into the security line, she noticed the new sign at the belt. It was set at eye level, with simple words, no big colors. It made her smile. A mother in line read the sign out loud to her child, almost like a poem. 2 details, a supervisor, and then go. The child nodded like it made perfect sense. At the checkpoint, a TSA officer recognized her from the training. He did not make a big scene. He simply said, "Good morning," and "Thank you for your memo." After she cleared the scanner, he added, We got a supervisor to a flag yesterday, in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. He looked quietly proud. She nodded. Good work, she said. That speed feels kind. At the gate, Janelle stood to the side and watched the flow. It looked normal, which was the best result. The agents scanned passes. The screen blinked. No red bar appeared. The air felt like coffee and soft voices and rolling wheels, not like stress. The sergeant walked by and gave a small nod. She nodded back. There was no long talk. There did not need to be. On the plane, Janelle opened her notebook and wrote one short line. The system learned. She underlined it once and closed the book. 2 weeks after that, Mira invited Janelle to a short meeting with the airline's training team. They wanted to use the plain language script in new hire classes. We tested it at 2 airports, Mira said. Staff like it. Passengers relax faster. We are not changing the safety rules. We are making the words kinder. Janelle shared the script with a small smile. Please make it yours, she said. Simple words are everyone's tool. In the same month, Alvarez ran a 5-minute ID access refresher at a morning huddle. She held up an empty wallet and role-played narrated steps. Officers and agents laughed at the little theater, but they kept the lessons. Talk it out. Hands visible. Move slow. Verify. Then move on. It became a rhythm they could remember on hard days. One evening, the airport sent Janelle a short note. They had added a line to their internal guide. Ruthless with standards. Gentle with people. The guide explained what it meant. Exact steps, simple speech, and a soft tone. It said the goal was to protect safety and dignity at the same time. Janelle felt grateful that a sentence born from a hard moment had turned into a small light for many people. At home, life moved forward in ordinary ways. Her niece performed in the school play and did not forget a single line. Janelle sat in, the front row like she had promised, and clapped with happy hands. After the show, they celebrated with lemon cake at her mother's table. The house was full of soft laughter and the sweet smell of sugar and zest. No one talked about the airport for long. It did not need to be the center of every day. It had become one lesson among many. Still, Janelle kept her notebook close. From time to time, she added a new idea. Add QR code to signs for quick procedures. Offer a 5-second thank you line after checks. Thanks for your patience. Place chairs near the secondary area so elders and parents can sit. She sent these ideas in short emails, always in friendly words, always with respect for the people who would carry them. Months later, she traveled through the same airport again, this time in plain clothes with her niece, who was going on a school trip. At the belt, a young officer used the exact script in a warm voice. A gate agent gently reminded a traveler to keep hands visible. A supervisor arrived quickly when called. Janelle watched from the side and felt a quiet joy. The steps worked. The room stayed kind. Her niece tugged her sleeve. Auntie, she whispered, that thing you taught them is here for real. Janelle squeezed her hand. It took many people, she said. We all built it together. On the plane, her niece leaned against her shoulder and fell asleep before takeoff. Janelle looked out the window at the taxiway lights, tiny beads lined up in the dark. She thought about how small lights, when placed in the right order, can guide a huge aircraft safely to the runway. She thought about how small words, when used in the right order, can guide people through a hard moment without breaking trust. She wrote one last line in her notebook. Not for a report, not for a memo, but for herself. Dignity is the soft light on the runway. Then she closed the book and let the thought rest. When they returned from the trip, Janelle sent a final thank you message to the team, to the sergeant,